And once again, everybody, thank you so much for joining us for this really informative session about how you're able to obtain citizenship in Dominica. And whether you're looking for that plan B, or perhaps you're personally interested in relocating to Dominica, or perhaps you're just not liking where the world is heading and you're looking for that escape pad, I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised about the options that we have in this beautiful country. Let's jump to the next slide, please. So my name is Rachel Jensen. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for ECI Development. And our goal at ECI Development is to help consumers understand where it is they want to be in the region. Specifically, we work within Central America. So I know that this opportunity may be a little bit out of left field for us, but ultimately at the end of the day, we know what our clients are looking for is a comfortable location that is familiar to them, and also having that option for residency or citizenship is so critical. And so with me today, I also have Mikkel Thorpe. Mikkel, why don't you give us a little bit of background about yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rachel. So my name is Mikkel Thorpe. I'm the host of the Expat Money Show and the Director of Content and Marketing at Escape Artist. We are the largest and oldest offshore website in the world, started in 1997. My goodness. And we've been putting out a ton of content since then. I didn't start in 1997, but I took over the company a couple of years ago, and we're seeing huge growth and a lot of interest in one of the topics we're going to be covering today, which is citizenship, second citizenship. So I'm really excited about the presentation today, and we are very, very fortunate to have Jaime Aline on the call today. She is an expert in the Caribbean countries, and today she's going to be speaking specifically about Dominica. So Jaime, please say hello to everyone, introduce yourself, tell everybody a little bit more about yourself, please.
Mikkel, thank you very much for that very kind introduction. Rachel and ECI Development, thank you also for having me on today. I'm really thrilled to be here to speak with ECI Development, with Escape Artists and all your subscribers and those who are tuned into the webinar today. It's a hot topic, what we're discussing, second citizenship. So I know a lot of people are interested in it. My name is Jaime Aline, as Mikkel said, and I am a managing partner at Blue Marble Citizens, but citizenship is just one tool in our toolbox. I'm CEO of Jaime Aline and Associates, where we really help you to craft that Caribbean lifestyle that you're looking for from start to finish. So if it's business formations, bank accounts, all of these sorts of things, which lend to the whole investment migration process, we're here to assist you through it. So I'm really thrilled that we continue to have these conversations.
Jaime, if you want to go to the next slide, I would like to talk a little bit about the differences between the residencies, citizenship, and just a plain old tourist visa. So a tourist visa is really what you're going to get in your passport every time you go overseas. You're going to leave your country, you're going to go on vacation, you're going to get a stamp. We all know this one. Now, there's a little bit more confusion because a lot of people seem to think that they could just leave the States, leave Canada, wherever you guys are, move to another country, and that tourist visa is going to be enough for you. Well, unfortunately, it's not. You're going to have either a residency or a citizenship. And the big difference between these two things is that the citizenship is actually makes you someone from that country. You can say, I am from Dominica, okay? You're also going to get the very coveted travel document, a passport. This is going to allow you to enter other countries with this. You're also going to get other rights and privileges that come with citizenship, which are not included in residency. And in today's presentation, Jaime is going to be focusing on the citizenship, how you can be a citizen of Dominica.
Thank you, Mikkel. So as Mikkel said, today I'm going to speak about citizenship by investment, specifically in real estate for Dominica. I'm happy, if you guys have any questions at all, go ahead and put those up in the Q&A section or send us an email afterwards. And I'm always happy to share with Rachel, the ECI and Escape Artist team. Why second citizenship? This is a big question. This is the question of the day, really. Essentially, I am not just a service provider, but I'm the holder of 3 citizenships myself. So I can really attest to the value of having a different citizenship. And so what we're seeing with current trends at the moment, passport mobility was always something of concern. It's always been a high motivator for seeking second citizenship. What we're seeing as of 2020, because of recent events such as the COVID-19 pandemic, because of socio-economic and political events in the United States, for example, what you're finding is that people are more and more looking at passport mobility from all across the world. Because of unprecedented travel bans this past year in 2020, no one expected that the US passport mobility would reduce by so much. So it got people thinking, really thinking about the idea of having options when it came to passports and being able to move, especially for business or to be able to go on vacation or just have that time out with your family. As I said, political and socio-economical problems, civil unrest, all of these seem to be motivating factors all across the world, why people are looking for that backup plan. A lifestyle shift. Now, increasingly in my practice, what we're seeing is we're seeing a lot more people looking for second citizenship for an actual change of lifestyle. So not just that passport mobility, but not really just for tax incentives or business incentives, but really to have a different sort of lifestyle. And I think in large part, that has to do with exactly what we're doing right here today. We're meeting via Zoom. We're all connecting, we're meeting via Zoom, and it has just opened up tremendous possibilities because many professionals are seeing that they can run their businesses or turn in their deliverables, away from home, or at least live that lifestyle where they are halfway away, half of the time out of the country and half in their main country of residence. So it's really offering infinite possibilities for lifestyle options, which is really exciting at this time. And all boils down essentially to having options. That's what we're seeing people want. So why Dominica? Now, I'm a citizen of Dominica. Dominica is close to my heart, so it's very easy for me to say, why Dominica? My question is usually, why not, in response to that. I'm going to introduce you to one of the properties here. If you just take a look at some of the pictures. This particular property is an award-winning property in Dominica, and ownership in this particular property only requires an investment of 218,000 USD in the property itself. So, second citizenship in Dominica is number one, affordable. I think that's the first reason people look at this as a citizenship option. It's the number one reason when they start to compare, they look at affordability. And Dominica is definitely the most affordable in the Caribbean at this time. And not only is it affordable, but it provides value for money. It's quick and seamless. So quick in terms of the application process for citizenship. We're seeing return times of about 2 to 3 months at this time, once you've submitted a complete application to getting approval for citizenship. It's seamless. The process is relatively easy. I mean, we walk you through the entire process. We hold your hand through to ensure that you put together a comprehensive application that goes through without any hitch. And it's highly sought after. I mean, ranked best program for the 4th consecutive year by the CBI Index, Citizenship by Investment Index of PWM, a Financial Times publication, private wealth management. And the reasons for that, 4 years in a row, the best citizenship by investment program in the world is because it's a strong passport for visa-free travel and freedom of movement. That's what they've quoted. It's the lowest investment requirement, efficient processing, quick time to citizenship. It's near for quick relocation in times of uncertainty, specifically for residents of the United States or Canada. It's all in the Western Hemisphere, and it's so quick. It's quick to get here, right? No Dominica residency or travel requirements necessary, and the due diligence and confidentiality procedures are top notch. So it really is, I mean, they basically repeat everything I said in terms of why Dominica is sought after at this time. Let me introduce you to my lovely country of Dominica. Really love. Diving is one of the, Dominica is an ecotourism destination and it's ranked in the top 10 for diving destinations in the world. This gentleman was enjoying the Champagne Reefs, the boiling lake, first largest boiling lake in the world of only 2. Our waterfalls, natural rainforests, and we have a very thriving and new yachting community. I actually moderate the cruisers community. So people coming on their catamarans from Annapolis and from Florida, they all enjoy coming to Dominica because it's still, you know, so undiscovered, so authentic really in the Caribbean culture. It really is that, it demonstrates that lifestyle shift that people are looking for. It was ranked best of the world in 2021 by National Geographic Traveler UK. As a matter of fact, it was the only Caribbean country to win that coveted title. Now, just so that we know where Dominica is, not to be confused with the Dominican Republic. If we take a wider view, you'll see Dominica right here in the Caribbean Sea, in the Lesser Antilles. And we narrow down a little bit, you see Dominica lies right between the French islands of Guadeloupe and Martinique. St. Lucia a little bit further south, Antigua a little bit further north. A bit about the Nature Isle. Dominica is called the Nature Isle because of its lush beauty. Its lush green ecotourism is thriving on the island at this time. Currently ranked as a COVID-19 low risk country. It has managed the COVID-19 pandemic very well. Official language is English, as I said. This is in the Dominican Republic. Capital Roseau. Christianity is the primary religion, but a number of other religions are also practiced. The Eastern Caribbean dollar, which is tied to the US dollar at 2.71. Main industries being tourism and agriculture and some manufacturing. The government system is a parliamentary republic and it follows, its legislative system is based on English common law, as is the US. Stable political climate and zero capital gains tax. Dominica has recently made some unprecedented changes and to its or expansions to its dependents, its qualifiers for dependents, adding dependents to an application. This is actually one of the key reasons why Dominica is so popular right now. They have really expanded the qualifiers, making it easy to add your family members to an application. So we're seeing things like normally the spouse qualifies as a dependent and children below 18. They've raised the age of children from 18 to 30 are also allowed to apply under the program as long as they're substantially supported. They don't have to be supported in entirety, but substantially so. Children 18 years or older with physical or mental impairments who are also substantially supported, parents or grandparents, the spouse of a dependent. This is something new that we're seeing, that not only can you have a dependent, but if you are applying for your child and your child is married and that person is also substantially supported by you or the family, then you or your spouse, then they would also qualify. Biological or legally adopted siblings, age 25 or under, single childless and also substantially supported. So there's really flexibility. As the Prime Minister says, he encourages families. They're family oriented. Dominica is a family oriented country. And so we're encouraging families to apply for citizenship by investment in Dominica. Now, the real estate option, you know, there are two options to citizenship in Dominica. There's the donation option, and then there's the focus of today's webinar, which is investment in real estate. Now, what are the benefits of investment in real estate, you know, for citizenship by investment? You really get a turnkey solution to both citizenship and lifestyle. So with your citizenship, you right away get ownership in a property where you can receive returns, but also have use of at least 5 days a year or two, you know, and you really just have that benefit that you can use right away, this lifestyle component. A return of investment by selling the preferred share after 3 years. So after 3 years, you can already sell your share. You can sell it on the general market, but After 5 years, you will be able to sell it under the CBI program. We'll speak a little bit more about that later as well. Annual dividends, free resort accommodation packages, as I said, zero property transfer fees or taxes, zero annual maintenance or similar fees, lowest investment requirement in the market. Dominica is really the lowest investment requirement for real estate, citizenship by investment via real estate. When you look at the other countries, the closest in cost might be St. Lucia, which is at 300,000 as the minimum investment, whereas for Dominica, it is 200,000. So you're really seeing affordability in Dominica, but not only that, value for money. So citizenship by investment, you've decided I'm ready. You've done your research. You know, Dominica is the right country for you. You've spoken to your trusted advisor. Where do I start? So we usually see two things happening when people want to start the process of applying for citizenship by investment in real estate. One, they either fall in love with the place or property. Perhaps they're on vacation, they're staying there, and they, 2 days ago, quite literally, I got a call from a gentleman saying, hello, I'm in Dominica on vacation. I've been doing my quarantine bubble in Dominica rather than staying in the United States. And I've just really fallen in love with the place and the people. He literally said that to me. I mean, nothing makes me happier when I hear clients start off their journey like that, in fact. And he said, I really fell in love with the place and I'm interested in citizenship by investment. I know where your office is. I've just gone by. When can we meet? I want to get started. And already he started his journey to citizenship. So that's one way we see. By far, the more common way is that people are looking for citizenship options. And so they refer to their real estate advisors and their government authorized agents, and they really get educated as to what properties are out there and which one is right for them. And once they've decided it's a go for the application process. Now, applying for citizenship by investment in Dominica is a 5-step process, essentially. Right? Just a 5-step process to citizenship, ownership, and lifestyle possibilities. One, the first part of this process is the applicant, as we said, expresses interest in their property of their choice. And so they would sign what is called either a share reservation agreement or share sales and purchase agreement, depending on the property and how they've qualified their agreement at that stage. It's essentially just reserving their share at this point. And once they've done that, the investor then transfers a percentage of that investment amount as their initial deposit. And that percentage can range anywhere between 5 to 7% is what we see, right? Of the total investment, usually within 7 working days of signing. The investor then collects all their citizenship application documents. So we walk you through the document collection phase. We help you, we show you everything that's required, and we assist you all along the way. The investor pays for their processing, due diligence, and authorized agents fees at the start, right? Because your application must go through due diligence, it must go through processing, and those are non-refundable fees to the government. That application is then submitted to the government on your behalf. And once compliant, the government lets us know, okay, it's compliant, and now it's being processed. Once your application is being processed at stage 4, it undergoes due diligence. So there are vigorous background checks, and we'll speak to that a bit later as well. Once you've been approved, then the letter is issued from the government to state that you have been approved in principle for citizenship by investment. At that time, the investor, you, the applicant, would transfer the remainder of your investment plus the remaining government fees. So that's only upon approval. Once you've been approved, then you transfer the remainder of your investment to the developer, as well as the applicable government fees, the remaining applicable government fees. And then to step 5, which is the step that everybody looks forward to, is when the government issues your certificate of naturalization, adequately signed. We take that certificate of naturalization and we go into the immigration department, get your passport ready within a few days, and it's couriered right to you, along with the closing of your deal, your real estate deal. So you are a Dominican citizen with ownership in real estate in Dominica, in a property in Dominica. So it's as simple as that, really, a 5-step process. Let's just take a closer look because I like to be very transparent and so everyone can see what is involved. So what are the fees involved besides the investment sum? You're looking at government fees, right? If your application for citizenship is approved, then the following fees will apply. So only upon approval are these fees applicable. If you're a single applicant, as you can see here, $25,000 for a single applicant, $35,000 for a family of up to 4 persons, right? $50,000 for a family of up to 6 persons. Quite reasonable still when you compare all the other islands, in fact. What are some of the additional fees? So in addition to the capital required for the investment and the government administration fee, you have a processing fee of $1,000 per application. This is to cover the overheads that the unit has to spend in processing your application. These are non-refundable. The processing fee, the due diligence fees. The government employs third-party due diligence agencies, the same due diligence agencies essentially that are used by the other governments for unreputable due diligence agencies. And so they have to pay them as well. So that's also non-refundable. You would have $7,500 for the main applicant and $4,000 for a spouse or any dependent age 16 or above. If your children are below 16, there's no need for a due diligence fee because there'll be no extensive due diligence check. Certificate of naturalization fee. These are just token fees also to assist in the overhead. So that's $250 per person and an expedited passport issuance fee of $1,200 to get that passport to you as quickly as possible. So let's do the math. We'll do some simple calculations if you follow along with me, just some sample calculations. Let's say you're a family of 4 interested in citizenship in Dominica via real estate. 2 children below the age of 16. So it's mom, dad, and 2 children below the age of 16. You'll have your due diligence fees to pay. That's $7,500 for the main applicant plus $4,000 for the spouse. The children the fee is waived for children because there are no due diligence checks done with the children. So that's a total of $11,500. Plus the processing fee at $1,000 per application. That brings us to $4,000. Certificate and passport fees, $5,800 in total. The government fee for a family of 4, $35,000. And the investment sum, say in the property, this is an example in the property that I showed you at the very beginning, $218,000, very reasonable. So what does that come up to? $274,300 in total, plus your authorized agent fee, which can change from agent to agent. And that gives you citizenship, ownership, and lifestyle, essentially for below $280,000. Okay, and if we look at St. Lucia, the minimum investment in real estate alone is at $300,000. So you can see why Dominica is quite accessible and really provides that, value for money. Citizenship application documentation. Let's also take a closer look at that. What will you be required to submit as part of your application process? And this can be the most onerous part of this entire process. Clients can sometimes be a little bit overwhelmed at the beginning, but we tell them take it step by step and we're here to work it through with you the entire way. So application forms, there are 4 application forms, simple. Really, one is the disclosure form where you speak about, you just give your residential history and that sort of thing. And the others are like your medical form where you have to get a medical check stamped by your doctor and some basic things like that. Letter to the minister responsible, which we prepare on your behalf and you sign. This is just to say to the minister that you are applying for citizenship via investment. 2 completed and notarized application forms. That's the form 12, notarized copy of your passports, notarized copy of your national or resident ID, notarized copy of your driver's license if applicable, notarized copy of your birth certificates as the foundational document, your marriage and divorce certificates, notarized copies of these as well. Police records. So we usually just generate an FBI report. It's quick and easy with fingerprints from country of residence. okay, as well as from country of birth if it's different. So for example, if I'm born in the UK but reside in the US, I would have to get my police record from both the US and the UK. Okay, for each applicant 16 years and older. One professional reference that can come from a colleague you've worked with, a respected colleague, and a lawyer you've worked with for a number of years. They just write to say that you're of good character, they've held, you know, good working relations with you over the past 2 years or more. A bank reference letter essentially saying that you've held a bank account with that bank in good standing since a particular date, you know, over 6 months. Letter of employment, if you have one, if it's applicable, and company documents if self-employed. If for some reason you are not able to provide a document, you can also submit an affidavit explaining that, and we can run that by the unit ahead of time if that's going to be an issue, just to ensure that you will qualify. Because what we don't want is for people to start the process and they don't have a good chance. So actually from the very start, before we start stage 1 of the process, we get a bio page of your passport. We do a preliminary screen to ensure that there are no red flags popping up. And if you have any issues, we ask you to bring it forward. Let us run that anonymously by the unit and get a good, you know, good idea as to whether it's going to disqualify you or not, so that we can properly advise whether you should even enter the process, because we don't want you to waste money. Letter from school or notarized copy of transcript as proof of school attendance, your CV, notarized copy of your university or college diplomas that you have on hand, 8 passport size photos for each applicant, the original copy of your utility bill as proof of address, and a military book if applicable for you. All copies duly notarized, and when in need of translation, of course, they must also be translated by a certified translator, and that must be accompanied by the credentials, all of which we assist you with and we walk you through should you have any questions. Now, I'm just going to, as I wrap up, I'm just going to give you a few bonus insider tips, you know, what we see a lot in our practice, and some things we just, you know, some little tidbits of advice that might go a long way. When choosing a property, we really recommend that you consider an indigenous developer. We want, you know, one who is reputable, knows the local industry, has experience in the local industry, because that developer is not only invested in the property, but he's invested in the island itself. Because sometimes what you see are properties that come in with these developers, these external developers who, once the development is up and running, they've sort of turned their backs on it and gone on to the next, you know, gone on to the next project. And so it's really great when you can find an indigenous developer who's successful already in the industry. He knows the island, he knows business in the island, he or she knows business in the island. And so, you know, that's one of the things that we look for when trying to find proper properties to recommend. Look at properties already turning a profit or in operation. That is still along the same lines, demonstrating substantial history of making the business work on the island. Some tips for the application process. Send scans of documents for review first. That might seem like common sense, but many people just want to get it done quickly and shoot it over to us. But trust me, it saves time and money when you send across your scans, because many times we have to correct something or let you know, no, it needs an additional certification or something. So send those scans over to us by email quickly, and we will review all your documents, provide you thorough feedback, so that when your application packet is ready, we say, go ahead and send. Go ahead and ship. There's no returning of documents via FedEx or DHL, you know, this back and forth, which can really delay things. And so we really don't recommend to our clients that they just send documents without going through that review process first. Also, as I mentioned prior, if you have any due diligence concerns, inform your authorized agent. Inform us so we can run that concern anonymously by the unit to see if, you know, if there are any issues with that. It could be just a civil litigation or something that you're worried about. Let's run that anonymously by the unit to understand, you know, whether or not it would disqualify you. Our rule of thumb is the more information, the better, because you don't want to be stuck while you've already invested in the process. with a rejection because you didn't disclose something to us prior. If you have any concerns, which we rarely get, but if you do, we always advise that you check with us first. And essentially, guys, that's it. I mean, it's short and sweet, hopefully. Dominica citizenship, ownership, and lifestyle. I hope everyone enjoyed. I'm going to hand it over to Rachel now, maybe to field some of the questions and answers.
Fantastic. And I see that we had a good number of questions coming in here. A lot of them are about costs and fees and whatnot. So I'm going to just read through those, Jaime. And if there's anything that you're not entirely sure on, why don't you leave that last slide up there so we have the email address handy. If you're anything that you're not sure, maybe that it maybe is more of a specific question, then we can do that. But you'll all see there quickly the website or the email address, Dominica@ecidevelopment.com. And I'm going to recommend, Jaime, if you just go one more slide there. Perfect. So if as you have any questions, maybe we don't have the chance to get to all of them, or you have more of one that's specific to your situation, that is going to be the email address you want to contact. But what I'm going to do here is just start at the top, Jaime, and we're going to get going through them. So the first question is for you, and it is what is the currency? And you are muted, Jaime, so I think you just got to unmute there.
My apologies. The currency is the Eastern Caribbean dollar, or the EC. In code, it's XCD. If you punch that into your computer, into Google, it's 2.71. It's fixed to the US dollar. And it's been so for many, many years.
Fantastic. And here from JD, I know you covered this a little bit, but it'll be good to recap as well for everybody listening. What is the minimum investment for citizenship?
Well, citizenship by investment in real estate, the minimum investment is 200,000 US. The donation option, which is just to give a donation to the government, is $100,000. And this is for a single applicant.
Got it. And Ronald here is asking, what is the total cost of all fees, including your fee?
Well, that if you just shoot an email to Rachel, we can give you a quick sample calculation, because it really just depends on your particular situation and who's applying.
Perfect. Now, Ronald here is asking, any golf courses planned for the island?
Actually, I've heard of one. There are many talks. I don't want to speak about that, but persons have thought about doing a golf course, and I know that there are some who are planning it. I don't know how far, and it is. Dominica is a very mountainous country, so it won't be the expansive golf course that you might find on other islands, but they are looking for something that would be quite interesting. Yes.
Understood. Yeah, I live on an island myself. We're on Ambergris Key in Belize, and one of the answers that we've learned when people ask when things are going to happen is soon. And I can't tell you how soon is. It's all relative. But you got to all remember we're on island time. But I'm glad to hear that people are talking about a golf course and perhaps implementing it. So James here also asked, what is the total cost with all fees? And maybe what would make sense is just to go ahead.
We perhaps he asked that question before we got to the fee section where there were the sample calculations. I mean, if you want, Rachel, I can go back to that screen, because essentially what it is, it's just a matrix based on your own, and our agents' fees are minimal. They really are. So let's see.
Perfect. And while you're getting that pulled up, I'll answer one here from Ronald. And he says, how can I get a copy of your PowerPoint? Ronald, just send us an email to the email address you see there, Dominica@ecidevelopment.com, and we will gladly send you the slide deck. And then we're also recording, so you will be able to you'll get a copy of the recording after the webinar as well. Yeah, perfect. Awesome.
Okay, I'm going to do this. This one is here first. I'm going to, let's see if my PowerPoint will cooperate. As you can see, the additional fees here, these are applicable whether you're doing the donation option or the real estate option. The processing fees are $1,000 per application. The due diligence fees, $7,500. As I said, these are non-refundable because this happens regardless. They must be, the cost must be covered by the government. So the due diligence fees are $7,500 for the main applicant, $4,000 for a spouse or any dependent age 16 and over. Certificate of naturalization fee is $250 per person. Expedited passport issuance fee, $1,200 per person. So these are the non-refundable costs that are associated no matter which option you choose. Now, if you go with the donation option, for example, at 100,000, you calculate based on your matrix on and you add that to your donation. The same goes essentially for the investment. You take your investment sum, such as with the property that I displayed, the pictures I displayed. If you go with that beautiful property at $218,000, then you add that to the additional fees. And depending on your family size, if you're a single applicant, you add an additional $25,000 for the government administration fees, which is comparably, I mean, in comparison to the other islands and the offers, they're very good themselves. These fees are actually quite competitive.
And then can you go just a couple of slides beyond that, which was let's do the math?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Just so everybody has an idea there, it's for a family of 4. I know everybody's in a different situation. You have different people going through residency or citizenship in this case. And so hopefully that just helps to break it down a little bit more. But we can certainly get you in touch with Jaime so that you can talk to her about your specific situation and see what the total would be there. And
yeah, you don't have to commit to anything. You just get a quote. You see if it works for you or not, you know?
Perfect. And so Corey asks a great question here. He's saying, what would disqualify me?
Okay, if you've been charged with a serious crime, you would be disqualified. That's the number one thing. If you come up, if you pop up on any, you know, terrorist associated, you know, organizations, or if you've been involved in fraudulent activity and that sort of thing, these are generally, that's the no-go. You're not going to be approved. And if you have any concerns, you know, we've had people who've had traffic accidents or something happened, maybe, you know, they had a marijuana on them, so maybe 20 years ago or something, and that we can run by the unit and see, is this really going to be an issue, you know? So there is some discretion. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good to know, because I know we've done residency programs before for folks in Nicaragua and Panama, and if there's anything on your background report, you're not even considered. So it's good to hear that there are options if people have those little minor nicks on there. All right, so Ronald is saying, what is the crime rate for violent crime?
Dominica is really a safe country. I don't know the exact crime rate, to be honest, but it is considered one of the safest countries in the world. You know, we really have a low crime rate, a low crime incidence.
And so, and folks are asking what the population size is of the country.
The population size is about 70,000 people.
70,000?
Yes, thereabout.
There you go. All right, so now we're seeing from Corey, it's a little bit more specific, or I guess average. What is the average cost for purchasing real estate there?
It depends on the type of real estate you want. If you want a house, if you want land, if you want land by the sea, if you want land in the mountains, you know, but real estate is quite affordable compared to anywhere else. In general, real estate is affordable. I mean, you can get a nice lot of land, for example, at about 100,000 EC dollars. So, you know, a small lot, but you'll get a lot nonetheless. And you can get a turnkey villa for something like 700,000 US dollars, turnkey, you know, prime property. So you really have a lot of room there.
Perfect. And then Ronald is saying, what are you buying for 218,000? So maybe just talk a little bit more about the ownership of the real estate side.
Right. So each property is different, and you would work with your real estate agent or your authorized agent to determine what exactly is offered for that specific property. But essentially, it's usually a share. So you're purchasing a share in the company, but each development is structured differently. So that's not something I can give you, you know, an overlapping answer to. That's really specific to the property that you've chosen.
And let's talk a little bit more about the opportunity and the development that you mentioned, because I think it's a beautiful property. It's stunning. We know that people are taking advantage of the citizenship through that specific development. So with that development, it is share, you'd receive a share, correct?
Correct, yes. And that particular development, it has, tremendous accolades. It is an operating, it's actually, this CBI part is an expansion onto the operating business itself. Remember when I spoke about the insider tips, that's something that we look for, our indigenous developers. And this particular developer has an excellent reputation and really has been awarded some of the top prizes in the world. So this property already turns, it already delivers on returns to its investors annually from the get-go.
Fantastic. And can you go back to the slides with the pictures from the development? I just saw Eva over here was asking to see some pictures.
I can just
and then
back. It stopped on the Boiling Lake. This is actually the bay at the development. This is my favorite beach in Dominica, and you can only access it by boat. But that is actually the bay near to this particular property. Let me go through here.
Stunning.
I'll walk you through.
Beautiful.
So as we see the bay here, this is an image from above of one of the villas here. You can see all along the ridge. And on the left side, they're currently adding new villas. On the left-hand side, you see there are two bays directly accessible to this particular property.
I could see how the terrain would make it difficult for a golf course.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going backward. Here we go. So this is a view from the balcony, for example, of one of the villas. This is inside. Superior hardwoods. You would see, top-notch construction. You have the option of having your private chef in your kitchen and dining in your villa. Private pool. The wellness spa, so they have yoga instructors, and it's very, it's eco-friendly, it's eco-centered, the spirit of this particular resort. So you have the full gamut of wellness packages as well. The spa here overlooking the bay, which is really beautiful. Wish I was there right now, maybe.
So I'm seeing a lot of questions here with regards to the resort side or owning a share. And so Ronald is saying, if you own a share in the property, can you stay there? And if so, what is the cost per night?
Right. So if you own a share in the property, you can stay there for 5 days a week. And this particular property, I will tell you something. This is something I meant to mention earlier, and it's a good thing you brought it up. Not only can you, and this is something else that you want to look for properties, and it's very rare because I don't know many others that belong to a network of, other properties where you can swap your 5-day stay with, so for example, they have sister properties all around the world. So say you don't want to come to Dominica every year, and this particular year you might want to go to France or something, then you can swap your 5-day stay with a stay at a sister property in another location. So that's also great value. But yes, you do have 5 days stay at this resort free. And then after that, it depends on the season at which you are staying, the seasonal rate would apply. Yeah.
All right, so I'm seeing a few questions. I don't know if you can talk about this, Jaime, since not everyone is an accredited investor, but I'm seeing what are the rental returns like, and is there any financing?
Okay, so there is no financing at this time, but we are seeing returns around, anywhere around 3% and up, around the 3% mark for those who are declaring returns, who are, we're seeing something around that. For each property is different. So I would say reach out, get the information, get a quote, and get the specifics for that particular property and the current specifics as well.
Perfect. And do you know, well, people can reach out about that. All right, so I'm seeing is ownership similar to a co-op, and so it's a share ownership. I'm seeing some questions about title. You would not get title to the property, but you'd get ownership of that share. And I'm guessing it is similar to, is operated like a condo hotel, but primarily I would say as a hotel, since it really is for guests.
Yes.
And then someone was asking here what the fees are without the real estate, but as Jamie mentioned, it's a $100,000 donation plus the residency fees. Mark is saying, would a share ownership allow for the investor to stay for a discount? Okay, we answered that one. And then Mark is saying, explain dividends from the real estate example that you gave. So we covered that one. Ginger is asking, what are the annual fees?
So with this particular property?
I'm guessing with this, and answer both. Are there any fees for the citizenship after you get it? And then are there
are absolutely no fees for citizenship after you get it. When you get citizenship, it's lifelong. So, you know, there's no renewal of your fees. You will need to renew your passport as you would with any other citizenship. Dominica's passports require renewal every 10 years. And so on. So at this time, I don't know of any annual fees with this property. As I said, if you want specifics on the property, you really should send an email because it can be quite involved, and we can give you all the details for that particular property and the current details.
Perfect. And so Ronald is saying, do you have to show any bank account to verify a certain level of income? I'm guessing for the citizenship. Do you have to show?
You have to establish, yeah.
Sorry, I think there's a slight delay.
You don't have to show well, you do have to show bank statements. You could show bank statements as part of your application, but you really just have to give a good basis, an authentic basis for your net worth. You have to be able to show on paper what is your net worth and that you're able to afford the citizenship. And of course, that the funds come from a legit source and from you. Because if it's not from you, then you need to get a sponsor, and that's another procedure. It's doable as well. But you know, for example, we have persons where maybe their company sponsors them or someone else, right? So it just means that we have to do due diligence on the sponsor as well. But essentially, you just need to show, you need to have a basis, a legit basis for your net worth to show that you can afford the citizenship.
Perfect. And another question I'm seeing pop up here is about hurricanes. So was there any hurricane damage from Hurricane Maria, and how has the island been affected by hurricanes?
Well, Hurricane Maria was really something terrible for Dominica. We all experienced. I was there, of course, on island during that experience. Dominica suffered a lot of damage. I would say that the blessing out of that is that Dominica has become a beacon now, has committed to being the first climate resilient country in the world. So what we're seeing is that all construction so there is an organization called CREED, which is the Climate Resilience Execution basically agency, there to supervise and oversee that both the private and the public sector and government organizations as well, that they all adhere to codes which will strive to make the country as climate resilient as it can. So they're really setting, you know, that goalpost. They're setting the example for many other countries to follow. And so the country has gotten back on its feet very quickly. And I will tell you something else. Citizenship by investment is probably the #1 reason the country was able to do so. So when you do make that donation, even when in the government administration fees, it's going towards a worthwhile cause. I mean, it's really going towards housing for the public. It's going towards school infrastructure. So you're really investing in the country in which you're going to have citizenship anyway. And, you know, there's also a lot of added benefits to that. I mean, when we have citizenship of Dominica, guess what? You have access to all the member states of the Eastern Caribbean. Many people don't think about that. So we have many clients who say, well, you know, since I'm doing citizenship, why don't I bring an arm of my company down this way and take advantage of the Eastern Caribbean market? Because, you know, the doors open up for business in that way, just to have an additional source of revenue.
Perfect. And so a question I saw here about 2 or 3 times at this point is, how easy is it to move between the islands, and what airport, is there an airport, and what airport do US carriers fly into?
Okay, so Dominica has 2 airports. But the major airport would be on the northeast coast, the Melville Hall. Well, used to be the Melville Hall Airport. It's now the Douglas Charles Airport. You can look that up. Essentially, we have flights coming in from San Juan, Puerto Rico. So you can easily get from Florida or from some other part of the United States to Puerto Rico to Dominica. You can travel between the other islands very easy because there are a number of different airlines such as Inter-Caribbean Airlines, Liat, Air Antilles, going between the islands. Because of COVID right now, we usually have a ferry shuttle that goes between the French islands, Dominica and St. Lucia. That's used quite often. It's very convenient. You can carry quite a bit of load with you, and and it's very affordable. But during COVID-19, it has been out of operation with plans to start back. They've just shut it off because of the border controls going on at this time. But the ferry should be back on as soon as things settle down.
Perfect. And another question I'm seeing, it looks like there are some people who want to move out there or at least spend time out there. They're asking, what is the internet speed like?
We have top-notch telecommunications, the same that you would find in the US, etc. I mean, right now I'm not directly plugged in, so mine is flopping in and out, but that's a personal problem, not a general internet connection. Dominica is great. And you know what's amazing? For example, the client who approached me 2 days ago calling saying, I just fell in love with your country. He was out there doing what a lot of people are doing now. And actually, what a lot of our citizens, our persons who have already gotten citizenship are calling me to say, how is the COVID-19 situation in Dominica? Is it possible that I could shift my quarantine bubble? That's what we're calling it now. So since you're working from home, why not just work from home in Dominica? And they're sitting at the beach, and doing their work, and it's fantastic. So it's an option for sure.
All right, one question I'm seeing here is, what is the main language?
English.
Awesome.
English. French is the second language. We do sit between two French countries, and our country changed in our history. We changed hands between the English and the French for many years. So there's English first. French is the official second language, but many people speak a French Creole, which the neighboring French islands also speak.
Very neat.
Similar to New Orleans. It's not the same Creole, but similar.
Here's a great question from JD. He's saying, how much time do you need to spend in country to keep current?
To keep current. So as we said, this is citizenship. You're current all the time. You don't even need to be in the country you're current. It's the difference with residence. I think Mikkel went through that at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm. Here's a great question from Marsha. She's saying, is the ideal purchaser living here, or will this be more of an investment?
The ideal, it really depends on you and your goals. I mean, each investor is different. Some people are looking for passport mobility, as I said, right? I remember Joel from Escape said, he had a client for the first time say, I need a country with the travel bans, the recent travel bans. I'll never forget him saying this. I have a client who's looking, to go to Russia. He just needs to go to Russia now because that's where all his business is, his business connections. I just need a citizenship that will get me there. And lo and behold, Dominica had visa-free travel to Russia. So, it really depends on your needs, your wants. Some people, it's the lifestyle. We're seeing increasingly people want to come and spend some of the year here working or living that relaxed lifestyle. Or they come on their yacht, their catamaran, their cruiser, or their sailing vessel, or their larger yacht, depends. They want to belong. They want to be a citizen and benefit from all of that. So it really depends on the individual investor.
All right. And then Lena is saying, is there a deadline to apply?
No, there's no deadline. You can, of course, for example, if this particular resort sells out, then yes, you would have missed the boat with that. And they're selling very well. So citizenship itself, there's no deadline, but at any point the rules could change. In other words, they might decide, well, we're not allowing grandparents anymore. I mean, that's highly unlikely, but that's just the nature of the game. It's fluid. The government can change the legislation. So if you think that right now it's suitable to you and it's a good time for you, then I would say go ahead and take advantage now if you see something that suits your needs. But there's no expiry on it at this point. The program, we don't think that it will be stopped. No.
All right. And Eva is asking, is it possible for me to come and find work while waiting to make that jump?
Yeah, you would have to apply for a work permit. So that's also something we can assist you with if you'd like. If you want to come to test drive the space, then you would have to apply for a work permit. And if you reach out to Rachel, she can also, reach out to me and I can give the details as to how you would go about doing that.
Perfect. And
or
then
you
also,
can work for another company and be situated in Dominica like many people do.
The beauty of being a digital nomad and having that flexibility.
It's
awesome. So
yeah,
I'm noticing
infinite possibilities.
It's true. So I'm noticing here we have about 3 minutes left. So we're going to try to, we still have about 20 questions that we haven't gotten to. I'm seeing some of them are repeats, but what I'm going to say is if you don't have your question answered, reach out to us, Dominica, Dominica at ecidevelopment.com. Jaime gets a copy of it. Mikkel gets a copy of it. I get a copy. We'll make sure that your email or your question is answered and it's answered thoroughly, because I know some of you have some really specific questions here to your needs and what you're looking to accomplish. And we'd want to make sure that we're chatting about that with you. So another question I'm seeing here is, and this is, I saw this in a couple of different variations. Could a person just purchase a lot and build on that lot? I'm guessing, yeah, you could, but I think you mean specifically for citizenship.
You would, right. You could purchase as what we call an alien, you would have, as a foreign investor, you would have to apply for an alien landholding license. You may not, if the property is under a certain size, you may not need the license, but you would still have to pay the alien landholding fee. So, which is equivalent of 10% of the sale price. And you could build on it. You could apply for residence and go through the 7-year residence process. You'd have to pay a fee as well for that. And that's another pathway to citizenship. It's a much longer pathway, but it's certainly an option.
Okay, and I think, I'm sitting here, actually, I'm lucky enough to have Joel here in the office with us. And so he wanted me to clarify something as well for this specific citizenship. That option won't qualify you for this specific citizenship that we're talking about. So it does need to be a registered investment. And say that one more time, Joel. Approved tourism product. Approved tourism project. Thank you, Joel.
So correct. If the question is that you're interested in purchasing a lot to get citizenship via investment in this, you won't qualify. It must be in an approved, a government approved real estate project, right? That's how you will be able to get citizenship by investment. Yes, Joel is definitely correct.
Perfect. And so I'm seeing here, do you mind just going to that last slide again? Ava's asking for the email address on the screen and I can't type it into the chat. So we're going to just leave that email address for you there. If you have any questions, I'm seeing a lot specific to marina communities. How do we avoid our political home country's political influence on the, I mean, there's some really great questions here. Ray and Terry, I know that you're not interested necessarily in owning the real estate, but you would like the $100,000 option. Just reach out to us. That can be accomplished. And so what Jaime was saying before is that you're able to get the citizenship by donating $100,000 to the government. And then from there, you add the residency fees on top of it. So you don't need the real estate, but if you want the real estate and have a potential for a return at the end, then you're able to invest in that specific project that Jaime was talking about for $218,000 plus these government fees. And I know the computer is working a little hard. I think the computer knows it's happy hour right now. But folks, you can even just email us back to the email that you got from us, or it's Dominica, Dominica. So the country's name, Dominica. There it is at ecidevelopment.com. And again, Jaime gets a copy, Mikkel gets a copy. I get a copy of that. So we'll make sure that your question definitely gets answered. So thank you guys so much for, who went over with the other email address, if you don't mind. Thank you so much for joining us. Jaime, thank you so much for all of the great information. I know I've certainly learned a lot about this, and I've just had a ton of people over the past year really asking me about those plan Bs, having a landing pad, having the option to get the passport, because like Mikkel mentioned, there is a difference between a passport and a green card or that residency. So this is a really affordable and attractive way to do so. Any last words, Mikkel and Jaime?
From my side, just thank you so much, everyone, for attending the presentation today. And a big thank you, Jaime, for sharing all your knowledge. Very, very generous of your time. I really appreciate you sharing everything with my audience. And Rachel, amazing host. As always, your webinars are the best. So thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it.
It has been a sincere pleasure for me to speak to everyone, to all the participants. And thank you so much, Rachel, Mikkel, ECI development team and Escape Artist team, as always. Thank you for just allowing us to have this venue to have this discussion during such challenging times.
Well, thank you so much. It's rewarding to be able to offer options to people. That's really, I think, why we're all here today. And this is definitely by far one of the most affordable citizenship programs I've come across. So I hope you all inquire for more information. And if you do decide to move forward, let us know and I'll come down and visit you in Dominica. Have a very great weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.